From West Philadelphia, born and raised, it's the IGN Digigods. So please welcome two men who are chilling out, maxing, relaxing, all cool, Wade Major and Mark Kaiser.
Oh, thank you. What a cool, what a really wonderful and very telling intro. From whom, Corey?
That was written by Owen Craig, who I think might have been the guys on the playground who were giving the Fresh Prince a hard time.
Oh, thank you, Corey. Mark, what am I eating here?
The same thing I'm eating.
I can't see you because I have a pile of KidVid between us. Hello? Oh, there you are.
On Wednesdays at my office is a farmer's market.
Uh-huh.
And they sell, there's this hummus guy. Mm-hmm. And he sells garlic chipotle spread. It's not hummus. It's garlic, chipotle, probably, I don't know what's in it. Crack, meatloaf. I don't know what's in it. It's good. Tell me it's not good.
It's good.
So how are we going to do? How are we going to continue doing the show if we're eating?
I don't know. I'm going to stop eating.
Okay.
I'm going to stop eating. Okay, so we didn't get the listener mail last week, but there's some very interesting listener mail that we do need to discuss. And you can tell it's serious because we're eating. And had two interesting emails from Peter Kazoris. By the way, send us your emails and your Vox boxes. gods@digigods.com. We need them. We want to hear your voices. We want to hear what you have to say. gods@digigods.com. Vox boxes, any audio format. Emails obviously only have one. Nope, stop.
Aww.
Emails only one format. And visit the Facebook page. Become a member and join the conversation. A lot of interesting stuff there. I post nude photos of Mark on a regular basis. So
we want to gain listeners, not lose them.
So Peter Kazoris, who always has interesting thoughts, wrote us about episode 373 back in April. And he did some research because we were talking about Doctor Who being a TV property and never really becoming a film franchise. And he did some really interesting research. And he said that Fox intended to make a TV film. It was a backdoor pilot for a new American-produced series that was not a reimagining or a reboot, but rather a continuation of the original narrative. And then in the days leading up to the show's 50th anniversary in November 2013, Paul McGann reprised his role as the Eighth Doctor from the 1996 television film in a mini-episode that was made available online on subsequently home media releases. However, BBC has been toying with the idea of theatrical presentations. On November 23rd, 2013, the 50th anniversary special was broadcast simultaneously in 94 countries and shown concurrently in 3D in some theaters. Isn't that bizarre?
Yes.
I just think that's fascinating. I had no idea, and I always thought they just sort of were resigned to Doctor Who being a small screen thing, but they really tried to push it, I guess, a little bit.
You guys are the Doctor Who people. I got nothing to do with this conversation.
And anyway, he finally asks. He says, "What are your thoughts on television properties moving on to the movie screen?" So they can, and can you speak about other examples of this happening in the past? Other shows like HBO, Sex and the City, and Entourage have or will been in theaters, though both finished their respective runs. And I got to think, well, there are different things going on here. There are shows like Star Trek where they have their run, and then they move to the big screen. There are shows like The X-Files or Twin Peaks, where you have a movie that becomes kind of like an episodic extension of the show. The only one that I can think of that he was talking to where you actually have something from television that then is released as a feature film was Battlestar Galactica. The pilot for Battlestar Galactica was then edited and released in theaters as Battlestar Galactica, the movie, with Sensurround. So, I mean, there are a lot of, and they did this a few times in the 50s and 60s, too. You know, like the Batman TV show, they came back with a movie, with Eartha Kitt playing Catwoman and a few other things like that, so in that crazy helicopter. So, yeah, there is a history to it. It's an interesting subject we should research sometime. And then Peter also says, talking about he said, Mark was a little bit incorrect when speaking about the details of the relationship between Michael Sheen and Kate Beckinsale.
What?
You were a little on Underworld. He says their relationship ended after filming, but while on set, she and the film's director, Len Wiseman, who was married at the time, began a relationship. According to a link from their respective Wikipedia articles, quote, all parties, aside from Wiseman's first wife, have maintained that there was no infidelity. Wiseman later married Beckinsale a year later after canceling several wedding dates because the director was still legally married to his first wife. Both remained friends with Sheen, who shares a child with Beckinsale, though she has admitted she was embarrassed that Sheen never proposed during their 8-year relationship, but felt as though she were married. If you keep a library book out long enough, you feel it's yours. Isn't that interesting?
Yes, that
Just a bit of minor correction there for you.
I want my spouse compared to a library book. Then again, I'd like a spouse, any spouse.
Really, I can arrange that.
An arranged marriage.
I really could, because I know this. I know a woman who would really like to get a green card, if you know what I mean.
Do you really? No, you don't.
I could probably find one, I'm sure, pretty easily.
Does she look like Andy McDowell?
Oh.
And do I look like Gerard? Now, which Gerard Depardieu would I look like?
Actually, she probably looks more like Gerard Depardieu.
Oh, well, in that case, forget that.
Oh, okay.
Because, by the way, Gerard Depardieu, who was handsome enough in his day, is now a gigantic, fat, slovenly guy who can't even tuck in his shirt anymore.
Very true. All right, Mark.
Yes.
Time me.
Oh.
I'm going to give me 7 minutes to get through all the kid vid.
For you, 8.
Okay.
3, 2, 1, go.
Okay. So my daughter's getting older. She's in she's in the terrible twos now. We're starting to experience all kinds of new things. So I'm getting exposed to a lot of this stuff more than I ever wanted to. It's Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, Daniel Tiger's Neighborhood from PBS Kids. Good show. Ironically, she doesn't like it as much as I do, which is a little bit scary. So at some point, I'm sure she'll experience the joys of Daniel Tiger. We have also not been able to get her excited about Looney Tunes, but I'll tell you, Looney Tunes musical masterpieces on DVD. 18 shorts that are all musically oriented. I prefer this stuff on the more complete Blu-ray sets, but there's some wonderful stuff here. Rabbit of Seville, obviously, and What's Opera Doc are the ones that are just legendary. But you also, everything. Holiday for Shoestrings, High Note, Catnip College, Pigs in a Polka, Rhapsody in Rivets. There's a lot of Pizzicato, Pussycat. There's a lot of fun stuff here. So a lot of great Looney Tunes, all music-oriented stuff. Strawberry Shortcake, oddly enough, my daughter just doesn't get this either. This is Barry Best in Show on a nice little pink keep case for Strawberry Shortcake. So, I don't know. I don't really get this either, but there it is. The Saban's Beetleborgs, Metallix, Metallix. This is Season 2, Volume 2 of yet another Saban attempt to do something very Power Rangers oriented. This thing is kind of, it's worse than Power Rangers. It's more juvenile, and it's silly. It's really, really silly. It's very kid oriented. It's Power Rangers aimed at even younger kids. I don't quite get it. It just feels disoriented and disjointed. Blu-ray and DVD combo set in the Batman Unlimited Animal Instincts original movie, which comes with this weird bat toy. Look at that thing. It's kind of creepy and
I don't know what it looks like. Looks like a bat ghost of some sort.
Well, it's like a robotic bat thing or something. But anyway, this is
here's the thing, though. You would think that if Batman has the time to build all these gadgets, he's got to have like workmen who do it.
Yeah.
You can't Batcave doesn't just happen. He probably have thousands of people working on this.
He's a staff.
A staff. You would think that somebody
run by Morgan Freeman.
Yeah, but but more people than that. You got to have like plumbers and electricians and guys who do the digging underground.
Beta testers.
Yes, you would think that somebody would give away a secret identity.
You'd think. Saying. I know. Well, this is actually a pretty good.
Same thing with Spider-Man too. Spider-Man's You're
taking away from my 8 minutes.
The same. By the way, it's the same. I'll pause it.
Okay.
It's the same way. By the way, look. Here's the thing with Batman too. Let's face it. Batman. Pause. Batman. If you had like a rifle with a high-powered scope, you can kill Batman. He's got nothing going on. What has he got going? You can't kill Superman, right?
Talking to the microphone, please.
Yeah. Did we do this last week? Mm-hmm. You can't kill Superman. Batman, high-powered rifle, top of a building. He's out, gone, done.
Okay, thanks.
No one ever thinks of these things except me.
Okay. Good for you. Am I back on?
Yes.
Okay. So anyway, Batman Unlimited, Animal Instincts, original movie, not bad. Pretty well done. The usual DC animation, but some good stuff in here, including Man Bat shows up in here, who I always loved. Nightwing. Of course, is the former Robin, Green Arrow, Flash. It's a nice tie-in. From PBS Kids again is Reading Rainbow, 4 classic episodes with LeVar Burton, who's trying to get this thing resurrected, and he should. This is great stuff. My daughter's not quite old enough for this stuff yet, but this one will have a treasured spot once she starts getting into her reading. Peg plus Cat, Peg rocks. I cannot tell you, this is also PBS Kids, I cannot tell you how much I am suddenly in love with this show. It's very math-oriented. It teaches you math very nicely, but the whole idea of Peg plus Cat, I'm totally into it now. I wasn't before. Have you ever watched Peg plus Cat? Dude, Mark, you got to watch this.
Why
all the
animation
takes place against what looks like kind of graph paper background, and the voice for Cat is just some guy going Cat. That's it. Hey, Peg plus Cat. Peg plus. Hi, how are you doing? It's just that's a guy doing that voice. Any guy can do that voice. It is funny as hell. You have no idea. It's great.
You're
Peg
right.
plus
I
Cat.
have no idea.
No. Dinosaur Train. Explore Outdoors. This thing comes on right after Sesame Street, so we watch it constantly. There are 8 adventures here. Some of them I've seen many, many times. Butterflies and Cloudy with a Chance of Fun and One Big Frog over and freaking over again. This is from the Henson people. Has nice little interludes where you learn about dinosaurs. I'm on. Unfortunately, I never thought I'd be into Dinosaur Train, but I am hooked. Elmo the Musical, Volume 2, Learn and Imagine. If you watch Sesame Street as much as I do, you know that Elmo has a segment where it's Elmo doing musicals. And the three here are Chef Explorer, Detective Elmo, and Mount Biggest Everest. They are all hilarious. This includes the bonus full-length video of Play With Me, Sesame, Imagine With Me. Elmo the Musical is probably the best Elmo segment. Elmo's World is not nearly as entertaining. From Scholastic, The Magic School Bus Season 2. This thing just keeps on trucking. It's really, really very smartly put together. 2 discs. A lot of good stuff here. Very educational. Really good for the kids. Not so educational, Transformers Rescue Bots, Return of the Heroes. Once you've seen the Transformers movies, as bad as they are, somehow the animation just feels really hackneyed. But for little kids who might not be into the intensity of the movies, the Michael Bay movies, I guess this probably fits the bill. The Adventures of Chuck and Friends, Day at the Races, all of these knockoff things from Cars, trucks with faces and speed buggy attitudes. Doesn't really work for me. I'm a guy, but this is probably more for little boys. Team Umizoomi is kind of creepy. Never really understood what this is all about. This is on Nickelodeon and Nickelodeon Junior. There are 4 episodes here. We've tried to watch this. Doesn't make the little girl's motor hum. Baby Genius, favorite songs, musical fun for your little one. This is skews even younger than my daughter, so we missed this one. That one we completely skipped. The Children's Classics Collection from Paramount and CBS includes animated versions of Strawberry Shortcake, not to be confused with the actual Strawberry Shortcake animated series.
Or an actual Strawberry Shortcake.
Peter and the Magic Egg, Dorothy and the Land of Oz, and Puff the Magic Dragon. All of it done very, very nicely, very sweetly, but not. This isn't like classic animation or anything. We got some more Scooby-Doo, more recent Scooby-Doo. This is 13 Spooky Tales, Surf's Up Scooby-Doo. Just not as interesting anymore in this day and age. These 13 new Scooby-Doo episodes just really pale alongside the original ones. But, if you just want to keep watching Scooby and Shaggy do what they do, by all means. Mia and Me Discover Centopia is a CGI animated show about fairies that I was completely unaware of. My daughter doesn't really understand why. She thinks flies are things that we squash. So she sees women flying around with wings. She wants to smack them. And I'm okay with that. My Little Pony Tales. This is the original TV series. That another one of the My Little Pony tales. This is not Friendship is Magic. This is another one of the earlier ones. Very, very 80s. Even though it's from the early 90s, it's got a real 80s vibe. Like one of them has a headband and the whole thing. 26 episodes. That's for nostalgia purpose. That's not for little girls. That's for women in their mid-30s. Nickelodeon's Let's Learn, STEM, stands for Science, Tech, Engineering, and Math. This is a mix of episodes from things. This is one of their little potpourri deals, Blue's Clues, Dora, Team Umizoomi, Bubble Guppies. Basically, the idea here is you watch these and you figure out what Nickelodeon characters you like, what shows you like, and you jump on in, and then that's the one you buy in the future. Wally Kazam. Oh, Right at the end.
Keep going, Wade.
All right, this is a few more. Wally Kazam is another Nickelodeon property. Very kind of look. The characters all look like Stitch from Lilo and Stitch.
Lilo and Stitch. I like that movie.
Kind of a gentler Shrek vibe. I'm not sure. I don't really get it. Teen Titans Go, which we've never been a fan of, but this is the complete first season on Blu-ray finally. So all those really extreme DC heroes as in junior form, Robin, Cyborg, Raven, Starfire, and Beast Boy. You get that on Blu-ray now, as if you needed it necessarily on higher res. Scooby-Doo, again, Moon Monster Madness. Scooby and Shaggy and spacesuits. I don't know who comes up with this stuff. More Power Rangers, Lost Galaxy, the complete series. I don't even remember this Power Rangers series. That's how many there have been. It's just getting way out of hand. Pound Puppies, Puppy Love. There are 5 episodes here from a series that is this is from Shout Kids. This is another Hasbro series. It's okay. This one skews younger as well. The dogs are cute. The voice work is okay. And then we have this is a really interesting animated film. I'm going to hold that for last. Actually, I'm going to hold that one for last and get through these other 2. Julius Jr., who creeps me out. I prefer Curious George as far as animated monkeys go, because Julius Jr. just has, I don't know, looks a little too psychotropic, the animation here. But Pirates and Superheroes tries to take advantage of everything that's popular right now in blockbuster movie culture. Julius skews, again, very young. This is an hour long, and you'll be lucky if your toddler keeps attention for that long. And then Chuggington, Turbocharged Chugger. We're starting to get into the train shows, my daughter and I. And Thomas is the one that we really enjoy because it's
tank engine.
Yeah, it's very British, and it's very the theme song is sweet. Chuggington, not quite so into it, and especially because these are now like bullet trains. So this one doesn't really. I don't know. I'm starting to understand that Chuggington is strictly second fiddle to Thomas. Thomas is just more. Thomas is the better train.
But is Peppa Pig a train?
No, Peppa's a pig.
Oh, got it.
And then this is a really, really cool animated film from France called Wolfie, The Incredible Secret. And the French have a long history of really great animation, as anyone knows who's seen the Triplets of Belleville or any number of other French animated shows. And this is really, really cool. This is about a wolf and a rabbit, and who are best friends since childhood. And it is you get into this really, really interesting adventure involving the animal kingdom, and it challenges their friendship, and it gets into the difference between carnivores and herbivores, and it's a fascinating animated dissection of human politics projected onto the animal world. It's sort of like, I don't want to say it's certainly not in the same league as Animal Farm, but it tries to do similar things, and it does so with really smart animation and some very clever writing, and that is Wolfie, The Incredible Secret, which I would say is good for small children and adults alike. It's definitely worth checking out. That's from Cinedigm, and I wish it were on Blu-ray. It's only on DVD. So,
look at Wade.
Rocked it. Totally rocked it. Totally rocked it.
Fantastic.
All right.
Wait, the complete series of The Nanny. Now, The Nanny was that Fran Drescher sitcom. And it was a thing. It was definitely a thing. She and Maria Menounos both have the same laugh.
The best thing Fran Drescher ever did was Saturday Night Fever.
She was hot back then.
But she's just in it for a moment. But, you know, she just has that one line, "Are you as good in bed as you are on the dance floor?" That's who doesn't remember that line?
Now, say floor again.
Floor?
Out of your mind. All right, so we have The Nanny, and this thing ran in the mid to late 90s. Fran Drescher played a nanny.
A nanny.
I mean, I don't know how else to put it. This film really just lives and dies on Fran Drescher. If you love her, you love the show. If you don't love her, which I didn't, then I didn't really love the show. This comes in 3 DVDs from Shout Factory and a bonus disc. So, again, if you're a Nanny completist, this is pretty much the last word you'll ever get on The Nanny. 146 episodes. First time
ran
on
for
DVD.
that long?
Huh?
It ran almost as long as Walker, Texas Ranger.
From 93 to 99.
Jeez.
Unbelievable. So there you go. So that's the nanny. I don't get it. I guess maybe your mother might. Your mother might like this.
Yeah, whatever.
It's too late for Mother's Day though.
True. But really, do you want to give Fran Drescher to your mom? Is that?
Well, you wouldn't be giving the actual Fran Drescher to your mother. You'd be giving the show.
Okay, I'm not sure I understand.
Norman knows Fran Drescher.
Who does?
Norman.
Oh, does he?
I think Fran lived on Fran lived or used to live or does live now on PCH.
Oh, really?
Like I guess a few doors down from where Norman's beach house was.
Well, there you go. Isn't
I
that
don't
special?
know why that's important, but I just thought I'd say that.
Another complete series, The Saint, is back. All of those old things that were released from A&E, all the British ITV stuff. Most of it we've been talking about lately have been the Jerry Anderson things, all these Super Marionation stuff, Space 1999, and all the XL5 and all that stuff, Thunderbirds. That's it's all with Timeless now. It's all being re-released through Timeless. So if you had the complete Saint before, if you'd collected all those individual seasons that took up huge space on your shelf, you're going to be bummed because everything looks better now on this new complete set, which is pretty slimline. It's got everything in all 6 seasons packed into 4 relatively large, but not too large, keep cases inside of a slipcover. So this is a nice, kind of like a single Adobe brick sized complete series for the Saint. The Leslie Charteris character, originally portrayed by Roger Moore, first in black and white half-hour episodes, later in color hour-long episodes, and this led directly to him being cast as James Bond. And everything about the Saint is just cool. I love this show. I love the half-hour episodes. I love the hour-long episodes. Loved it in black and white. Loved it in color. You get audio commentary on certain episodes, and it's always interesting. And some of them are producers, and some of them are guest stars. It's all behind the scenes and actor commentaries, and it's always somebody different, and it's always interesting. Great guest stars, incredible photography, wonderful European locations, and just a super smart show. It's great. I mean, Honor Blackman shows up here. You get people like Oliver Reed even shows up here. Julie Christie. It's a really wonderful show, and I just there's not a bad episode in the lot. Better than Mission Impossible for that kind of a show from that era.
What?
Yep, absolutely.
Well, the Saint was cooler. Okay, don't please don't do that. Wade, the History Channel aired a miniseries earlier this year called Sons of Liberty.
Yeah,
and this thing did pretty well, especially the finale did pretty well. But
I didn't care for the casting so much, but it was it was well done. It was okay.
I mean, it was well done, but the thing is that it takes like an action angle on how Adams and Revere and Hancock and planned the American Revolution.
It basically turns the founder. It turns the founders, who were largely intellectual guys. It kind of turns them into the Avengers.
It's just I kept thinking that I was watching this thinking this is what the revolution would be like if the CW planned it. A bunch of super handsome guys running around being all action oriented. And it's just I just think the History Channel could have done a little better than this. But look, it did well for them. The Blu-ray includes 30 minutes of never-before-seen material, which is fine, I guess, whatever. The casting is a little... It's just, all sorts of glowering, handsome guys. I just wasn't into it. I mean, it's especially disappointing from the standpoint of being a History Channel, ladies and gentlemen, production. But if you like it, and maybe it might be a gateway to... learning more about the American Revolution, which of course is never a bad thing. Mm-hmm. Anyway, also on Blu-ray we have Ray Donovan Season 2. This is one of those shows that's like, it's not really eating up the zeitgeist, but enough people like it to kind of keep it going. It's on Showtime. It's a crime drama, and it's with Liv Schreiber and Eddie Marsan. We all love Eddie Marsan. Stephen Bauer's in it too. John Voight shows up too. So, it takes place in L.A., and this guy Ray Donovan, he's a fixer. He arranges for bribes or payoffs and... so that corrupt police or government people can get away with their nasty crimes. This is Season 2. It's just really more of the same. You learn a little bit more about Ray's wife and his son. Again, I think this Liv Schreiber is a very intense... I've seen him on Broadway. He's a very intense actor. He's great. He really makes the show. I love John Voight, too. It's kind of a culty thing, but if you groove to it, you'll like Ray Donovan.
I like what I've seen of the show. I've liked. It doesn't. It feels. It just there's an authenticity to it that rings true from the Hollywood perspective. So what I've seen, I've liked.
I have something authentic, Wade.
Oh, don't go there.
In my pants.
Don't go there.
Here's where I'm going. Back to the 70s.
Yeah.
For the complete third season of Welcome Back, Kotter.
Oh.
27 episodes of cheeseball, Travolta, Scientology goodness. Gabe Kaplan at his most mustachiest.
And yet he's not playing poker in this.
He's not playing poker.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah. You know what's amazing when you think about it? How really all these shows were like run by Jews. Like Gabe Kaplan?
Yeah.
The coolest teacher?
Yeah.
Jew.
Yeah.
The Fonz?
Yeah.
Jew.
Yeah.
They're all Jews.
I know.
I'm just saying.
CPO Sharky?
Jew.
Yeah.
Half of the Mission Impossible crew, Mark Landau, Jew.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, man, Jews rule. Jews are the coolest. Who knew?
Yeah.
Anyway, all right. This is season 3. By the show is hitting its stride now, and then it'll start to slip a little bit. But still, it's just a lot of fun. You know, the principal is in this, and Travolta's in this, and Horshack's in this, and it's great. I just really love the show.
If you're a fan of the Hallmark Channel When Calls the Heart stuff from the novel by Jeanette Oki, Michael Landon Jr. has been milking that topic, that whole world, for a number of these things, and it's more of the same. It's a little bit schmaltzy for my taste, but it's polished and it's gentle around the edges and sweet and romantic.
It's gentle to the stomach?
Yes.
It's gentle to the stomach?
So this one is When Calls the Heart, Trials of the Heart. Decent, Jack Wagner and Lori Loughlin are lovely in this. Aaron Krakow, Daniel Lissing. It's a decent cast, and it doesn't really do anything that the other ones haven't done already. So it's more for that. It's more of the same for that audience. And then last on television is season 5 of Hill Street Blues. Going through you can still get the complete series, but you are at this point, if you want to get the individual seasons, you can do that as well. 5th season, 23 episodes, really, really good season. Really, really good season. This is right when the show was in its prime. It was raking in Emmys every single year, and this is one of the more challenging seasons as far as changes in the characters' lives. I won't get into any specifics, but a number of characters have huge quantum shifts in their characters at this point. Clearly, after 5 seasons, a show usually gets a little bit of fatigue around the edges. Audiences want to see things change. They've gotten to know the characters. They want to know that their lives are more interesting than their own. So that's when the writers mixed it up. And the 5th season is one of those kind of pivotal seasons. Does a really good job. And then we have an interesting quartet of films from Arrow. The Arrow library is releasing a lot of really interesting kind of culty exploitation filmy stuff. Really odd library stuff that they're getting hold of, and this is all being distributed by MVD Visual, formerly Music Video Distributors. Valerian Borachik is a guy who's made he's associated with some very strange and extreme films over the course of his career, and this is one of them. This is The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Miss Osborne. Right? You know that story, right?
Oh, yeah, you kidding me?
Yeah. Well, what makes this great is, who plays Dr. Jekyll?
Jeff Goldblum.
Udo Kier.
Well, he makes everything cool.
He does. We love Udo. I will not tell my story of interviewing Udo with the cat. I will not tell that story again. But honestly, why Udo never became a Bond villain, I just don't know. He's
instead we have
he was born for it.
Instead we have what's his name in the new one?
I know, Christoph Waltz. It's like, gosh, Udo should have been that guy. Anyway, the idea here is that you're having Udo, Dr. Jekyll is engaged. Marino Piero plays Fanny Osborne, his fiancée. And it takes a really unusual twist on the whole Dr. Jekyll thing by introducing this woman, Miss Osborne, and it's sort of the same story, but it's not. So if you know any of Borachik's other films, like Tales of the Beast, which is just completely insane, you will know that this is it's faithful up to a point, and then it just takes a crazy 90-degree detour. Lots of extras on here, heaps and gobs of extras. Audio commentary is really, really good. This has an archival interview with Boracek himself, new interviews with a lot of the collaborators, and a short film by Boracek called Happy Toy from 1979, various featurettes, and tons of other stuff. This is a packed Blu-ray, an absolutely jam-packed Blu-ray DVD combo set. Another interesting Blu-ray DVD combo set is Retaliation from Japanese cult filmmaker Yasuharu Hasebe. This one is a little bit less interesting. There are only 3,000 copies of this DVD Blu-ray combo set, which are out there, so it's a really limited edition. It'll probably go quickly. But as far as, violent 1960s era Japanese cult gangster movies go, it really doesn't get any more interesting than this. This basically is this is like sort of the beginning of a whole era of Yakuza films that just go completely unhinged.
Well, I would like the Suzuki stuff. The Suzuki stuff is the coolest.
The Suzuki and the Fukasaku.
It's a little earlier.
He is kind of between Suzuki and Fukasaku. He takes Suzuki and he makes it more violent, but also more kitschy and more kind of culty and groovy. It's a cool film, but certainly for acquired tastes. And then we have Island of Death from Nico Mastorakis, another cult filmmaker of the era. This is strictly a Blu-ray, and it all takes place on Mykonos, which is one of those Greek islands which, like our friend Norman used to say, he goes, "Oh, that's where all the Swedes go and party and get drunk and die of alcohol poisoning." I remember Norman told me that. He's like, "Oh, that's the island where Swedes get drunk and die of alcohol poisoning."
Well, I'm going.
So it's just funny. It's like Swedes go there to die of alcohol poisoning. Anyway, Island of Death is it's not a gore film, but it's certainly a titillating. It means to be both sexually and use sex and violence in the most gratuitous ways possible. Not a fun film to watch. Not something that I particularly enjoy. It's also loaded with extras, all of it beautifully transferred. But again, it's Nico Mastorakis, not my favorite. And then lastly, a really cool special edition of the film Society. There's sort of no conceivable way to actually explain Society, which was made in 1989. This is a Brian Yuzna. You know who Brian Yuzna is?
Yeah, that's Mr. and Mrs. Yuzna's kid.
That's exactly it. Well, anyway, Brian Yuzna was a producer on Reanimator, and he produced a lot of schlocky stuff. And this is his directing debut, and it is it's supposed to be a really shocking gore film, and this gigantic commentary on quote unquote society, hence the title. But it's not really that shocking. And all of this orgiastic, ritualistic, shock effect stuff in it almost winds up being funnier than not. So I don't know. Apparently, it's the idea that this is a satire is an after the fact thing. It's a little bit like Showgirls. Oh yeah, it was supposed to be funny. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. I don't know that this was supposed to be funny, but anyway. It is for gore film fans and for shock and schlock and cult film fans. Society is an interesting after the fact kind of a curio. There's that word. That you like that word in the trades when they use it, curio.
I like Susudio better. Yeah, see, there's Curio and there's Susudio, the Phil Collins song. Yeah, I don't know where that came from. Wait, I just happened to think of it.
Of course. All right, Mark. Let's talk about classic movies.
Well, Wade. We have a Clint Eastwood Super Duper set. Now, this Clint Eastwood Super Duper Blu-ray set is only Universal Clint Eastwood films. Clint, of course, did a lot of films with Warner Brothers, but these are the Universal ones. Here we have, in no particular order, because many of them are not very good, Two Mules for Sister Sara, pass. Joe Kidd, pass. High Plains Drifter, okay. Coogan's Bluff, okay. The Beguiled, Play Misty for Me, the first film he directed.
That's great. Play Misty's still good.
Which is great. And the Eiger Sanction, which is cool.
Yeah.
So we have...
On balance, recommended?
Yes.
They're all... I mean, if you're a Clint Eastwood completist... I
mean, the guy's directed like 40 films. You know what I mean? It's like...
if you're a Clint completist and you don't... I mean, because some of these are first time on Blu-ray.
That's right.
And you can't get them as singles yet.
Yes.
So if you're Clint completist, you got to get this.
That is true.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of good stuff. And again, it's on Blu-ray, which is great. There's a couple bonus features, a look back at the making of Play Misty for Me, and the Beguiled and some of the other ones. A lot of theatrical trailers are here. So again, Clint did his best films, I think, for Warner Brothers, but the Universal ones are okay too. So if you're, as Wade says, if you're a Clint Eastwood completist, go for it. Otherwise, you're probably better off just renting some of these, some of the better ones, like Play Misty for Me or Eiger Sanction. You don't need to see the Beguiled. At least I don't think so. So although some people like that movie.
Yeah, it's all right. A couple of DVDs here, not Blu-rays. This one is also from Timeless. Timeless, in addition to all their TV stuff, they're doing some interesting. They're getting some interesting movies. And this is an Andre de Toth film. Andre de Toth, another one of those kind of culty guys, not really an A-list filmmaker, but a good solid B filmmaker. Made Day of the Outlaw, starring Burl Ives, Robert Ryan, and Tina Louise. One of the few things you will actually see Tina Louise in, other than Gilligan's Island. And as a, as kind of one of de Toth's frontier pot boilers, this is good. It's nicely shot, good black and white photography, and Robert Ryan is always, he's one of those better second tier tough guys. Like if you can't get Gregory Peck, and if you can't get John Wayne or Gary Cooper, sure. Sell for Robert Ryan. He's good and hard-boiled and grizzled face, and he'll do the job. And he does. He's perfectly fine. He plays a rancher, and he's perfect rancher. And Burl Ives is freaking Burl Ives, and it does the trick. This is from the late 50s, so it's sort of right on the cusp of breaking out into the big widescreen Western epics, and it's still just suitably intimate, and you definitely can see why Tina Louise got really upset about being typecast in Gilligan's Island, because she should have had a much bigger and cooler career. We also have a title here called Water is Wet, and other films by Gordon Weisborn. These are basically experimental short films, and there's just no conceivable way to explain them. If you are familiar with Gordon Weisborn, you know exactly what you're going to get. Otherwise, there's just no point. These were made between 1969 and 1970. They are all restored rather nicely, and just so we can credit the Erickson Institute with doing all of that. There are a few special features here, including an unrestored version of the short "If I Were an Animal" and some notes as well that sort of give you all the background on why Gordon Weisborn and his films are important. So the films included are Water is Wet, Sit Down, Where Does My Street Go, and If I Were an Animal. So really interesting experimental films from the era of experimental films, but strictly for the people who actually know what they're getting into.
Oh, wait, from 1999 is a film to avoid, even though we always love the folks at Scream Factory, but it's not very good, called Stigmata. Stigmata is...
Man, I hated this movie.
Huh?
I hated this movie.
At the time, it had been a while since there was like an Exorcist ripoff movie we could all like make fun of, but Stigmata was it, and it's about this object, and the object was found in a Brazilian village, and it's purchased by an American tourist who winds up giving this object to her daughter, played by Patricia Arquette, who 20 years later, whatever, 15 years later, would win an Oscar. And Patricia Arquette winds up with this object, and then she sees spooky visions, and then there's people running around with the wounds of Christ. And it's just really silly. It's just silly stuff. The effects are better than B movie, but not quite A movie material. One of the only notable things about it is that it has a score by Billy Corgan of Smashing Pumpkins. And when you get a sense of this, you really get a feeling as to why Billy Corgan did not go into film composing, because it's just sort of this like sound carpet and not really much else going on. So you get Patricia Arquette with the Wounds of Christ, and you get what's his name, Gabriel Byrne, who of course is always good. Jonathan Pryce is always good. I like him. Anyway, not very good. Stigmata, I'd pass on this. Also, we have the cult comedy Wet Hot American Summer, which is off its spindle, Wade.
I know.
Spindle. Now, this is being re-released because there is a new Netflix sort of sequel to Wet Hot American Summer.
Yeah.
It's being shot right now. So this is the cult comedy from 10 years ago that includes Janine Garofalo and David Hyde Pierce and Amy Poehler. Elizabeth Banks, Paul Rudd, Bradley Cooper, very young Bradley Cooper, and David Wayne directed it. And it's a really good Blu-ray. It's got deleted scenes and behind-the-scenes featurettes and a commentary with the cast and the crew, and 10th anniversary highlight reel. So it's good stuff, and it's a cult movie. It's a bit of a throwback to those 70s era Meatball, Stripes sort of movies, those Bill Murray films. So right down to the key art, which evokes those movies from the 70s, early 80s,
where the heads and the boobs and the feet and the hands are bigger than everything else, and the bodies are all kind of tiny. Like your head, the heads are the size of beach balls, and boobs are the size of cars. It's weird.
That is true.
Everything's disproportionate.
So there you go. Wet Hot American Summer, cult comedy. Definitely check it out. I think you guys might like it. It's very it's Office Space in that cult comedy way.
Also from Shout Factory, and then I'm going to get into the killer stuff this week from Twilight Time, which we teased last week. A couple of double features, a couple of the horror-y, culty double features that Scream Factory puts out every once in a while, the subsidiary of Shout Factory. The first one is H.G. Wells' Empire of the Ants and Jaws of Satan. These are all from the 70s and one from the 80s. The one here from the 80s is Jaws of Satan, Empire of the Ants from 1977. I don't know why that wasn't the most popular film of 1977. I mean, what else was there?
I remember that film.
You remember that year?
I remember
1977.
Empire of the Ants.
There was nothing that came out in 1977.
Well, I don't know. I was like 1 or something. Whatever.
1977 was a dead year.
I have no idea. There was nothing that came out in 1977. You're about to say Star Wars.
No, there we go. Empire of the Ants, so loosely based on the H.G. Wells that they almost should have been sued for even using his name. You can tell all these movies are just begging for CGI to show up because the way that they cut corners is just horrible. These are both really, really silly movies and entertaining on some level. You get a commentary for Empire of the Ants with director Burt Gordon, who clearly enjoys the fact that it's a terrible film.
Yeah, but Chris Pine's father's in that movie.
Who is also on Chips. He's also on Chips. And then you have also from the another H.G. Wells film, The Food of the Gods, which was made in 1976, just the year before, and it's even worse, actually. You also get a commentary from Gordon, again, who directed it, part of his double. But here's the one you really, really want. Forget about Food of the Gods, which is just obnoxious and silly and ridiculous. Frogs is the one you want. Frogs is so great from 1972. We're just barely out of the 60s, but it's still absolutely sensational. Joan Van Ark has never been funnier in her entire life. I know she went on to do a lot of television, but man, this is just brilliant.
Ray Milland.
Yeah, look, Frogs is basically killer frogs.
Frogs.
It's about frogs. It's about killer frogs. It doesn't get any better. It's just hilarious and silly and ridiculous and brilliant.
Okay, but by the way, I'm not okay. Frogs was not meant to be silly and ridiculous.
Maybe it was. I don't know, but I thought it was. I think it's just fantastic and awesome. Well,
it is fantastic and awesome. I'm just saying.
So we also have an unbelievable set of stuff here from Twilight Time. Now, the one we teased last week because of Wolf Hall, which deals with primarily the relationship between Henry VIII and his regent Cromwell. A Man for All Seasons also deals with that, among other things, but the central subject of A Man for All Seasons is Sir Thomas More, which won Paul Scofield Best Actor at the Academy Awards, and the film also won Best Picture in 1966. This is one of my all-time favorite films. I love this film with a passion. I cannot lay wreaths high enough at the feet of Twilight Time for having the presence of mind to go to the Sony library and mine this thing out from Columbia and say, we're going to put this on Blu-ray because you guys are crazy for not having done it. It's insane that this is not on Blu-ray yet. Or hasn't been prior to this. So bravo to Twilight Time. The transfer is very good. Probably could do with some work, but obviously, unless somebody ponies up a lot of money, that's not going to happen. So for the time being, the 3,000 limited units that this is getting in release is all you got. So 3,000 very lucky people are going to be the owners of A Man for All Seasons on Blu-ray for what may be possibly forever. Magnificent film, story of Sir Thomas More, obviously, and his refusal to grant King Henry VIII a divorce, the whole fiasco that created the Church of England. Robert Shaw as Henry VIII is just legendary, maybe the greatest Henry VIII ever, and directed, of course, by Fred Zinnemann, who we talked about last week with his debut film.
And High Noon also?
And High Noon and many other things. I mean, this is just such a brilliant film in every way. You can watch it over and over. Some of the best dialogue. One of the two lines that I quote the most from any movie ever is in this one.
May
the other one
be with you.
No, I don't quote that.
Wait,
they're both Robert Bolt screenplays. One is from Dr. Zhivago, and the other line is in this one.
Okay, what are they?
No, it's not like a hip quippy line. It's the one where it says, come on, where Cromwell basically says to Moore, he says, why won't you come with us for fellowship? And then he says something to the effect of, and I have to, refresh it in my head, but I'm doing this very quickly, where he says something to the effect of, and when you have gone to one place for being true to your conscience, and I have gone to another, will you, when you have gone to meet God for following your conscience, and I have gone to hell for following mine, will you then come with me for fellowship? It's a great line. It's like an incredible line.
Robert Bolt, he was a hack.
Oh, so good. Other great Twilight Time releases this week, all of them with 3,000 limited copies. Is Mississippi Burning, the film that was almost Best Picture in 1989. Such a tragedy.
I love this movie.
This should have been Best Picture in 1989, and then people started complaining it was another movie about white guys saving black people.
And by the way, is not untrue.
Which is not entirely untrue.
But it's got Gene Hackman.
But it should have been. It should have been Best Picture. It's better than Rain Man. It's so much better than Rain Man. It was the front runner until they guilted everybody into feeling like voting for this was somehow voting for a film that distorted the civil rights era, and they're wrong. It doesn't. It's a great film.
Alan Parker. This is back in Alan's.
This is
wheelhouse.
when Alan was just. He could have
cranking out movie after movie.
And they were all great. Tell me, the lynching sequence in this, with the music, the montage, the whole thing, is one of the most devastating moments you will ever see in any film. It is so soul-tearing. It is just magnificent. Like all the Twilight Time titles, this has an isolated score and an Alan Parker commentary. Thank God, it's wonderful. It just is such a great film.
Do you know why baseball is so amazing?
Why?
Because baseball is the only time that a black man can wave a bat at a white man and not get arrested.
And get paid.
That's
probably
from the movie.
Millions. I know. Yes, I know.
I think I might have butchered that a little bit, but that's from the movie.
It is a good line. And then we also have somewhat lesser titles, but also all worthwhile. Paul Newman in Ombre, which is one of his collaborations with Martin Ritt, and includes a commentary with film historians Lee Pfeiffer and Paul Scrabo. Also an isolated score track. And you know what? It's not the best film that they ever did together. HUD is probably better. But it is very, very good. And it's beautifully shot. And it's a smart script. And Paul Newman is a stud. Carla's Song is an unusual one for them to release. This is not from a studio library. This is one of their Film 4 titles, which also pop out every so often. This is a Ken Loach film, originally made in 1996, which feels like yesterday, but it wasn't. It was almost 20 years ago. And this is one of Ken Loach's more accessible movies. Some of them get a little bit didactic, but this one features Robert Carlyle as a Scottish bus driver who falls in love with a Nicaraguan refugee. And it's beautiful and features some fantastic music by George Fenton and great photography by Barry Ackroyd, who's gone on to be quite a sensation. And then lastly, a film that I think Mark is probably more fond of than I am, Michael Corrente's adaptation of the very, very successful stage production of David Mamet's American Buffalo. I find this a little bit stagey. This was a...
But that's him. All the stuff is stagey. The key is finding the actors who can enliven his dialogue.
And in this case, he's Dennis Franz is very, very good, and Dennis Franz is kind of the linchpin here. He's the guy that holds it together. Dustin Hoffman, surprisingly not as good as you would expect him to be. It feels a little bit miscast, but this also has a great isolated score. Thomas Newman music is fantastic, and the same two two different film historians do the commentary here. Julie Kirgo and Nick Redman, and then there's a theatrical trailer, and that's it for our Twilight Time titles this week.
We have a couple from Kino Lorber. We always love the good folks over at Kino Lorber. We have a couple Yul Brynner titles. First is Kings of the Sun. This one is a little bit. This one is not as good as the other one, I don't think. This is Yul Brynner and George Chakiris.
Love George Chakiris.
He's cool.
Never has a Greek man done a better job of playing a Puerto Rican than he did in West Side Story. I'm just saying.
Anyway, it's about these... You're out of your mind. Anyway, Brenner and Chakiris play the rivals in this Mayan tribes. They have to come together to kind of face a mutual threat.
Happens all the time.
It's
a real problem.
Exactly.
Every Tuesday for me.
So, out of your mind. So, Lee J. Thompson directed it. Good score by Elmer Bernstein, who would later go on to do The Great Escape. Good widescreen photography. So, generally speaking, I'd probably pass on Kings of the Sun. It's it's too silly for me. I'm not really into it. I'd much rather see Yul Brynner in the much better, at least for my money, Invitation to a Gunfighter. This takes place in New Mexico, frontier town in New Mexico. And Yul Brynner is hired by the town's boss to kill a guy. The guy, by the way, played by George Segal.
Yay!
He plays a Civil War veteran who comes home to reclaim his farm. So I like this movie a lot. This is great. It also gives you an early look at Yul Brynner in cowboy clothing, which, of course, he would go on to wear to much greater effect in Westworld. But still, good stuff. Richard Wilson directed it, and co-stars Pat Hingle, young Pat Hingle, who you might remember from the original Tim Burton Batman films. And there you go. So Invitation to a Gunfighter, much better than the previous one. Then we have three films that Wade is going to like a lot more than me. I got to say, in the 80s, there were all of these Chuck Norris-y, Michael Dudikoff movies, which is really terrible. Come on, Wade, seriously. These movies sucked.
They're so awesome.
I know.
Especially now. When you revisit these movies now, you just go, I can't believe someone actually spent money on that. They paid him a salary?
Yeah, well, you spent money on it, too, to buy a ticket. Even worse.
I did.
All right, well, from 1983, we have Revenge of the Ninja. It's so bad. This stuff is just terrible. Anyway, there you go. There's that. And then for 1989, we have River of Death. River of Death with Michael Dudikoff and Robert Vaughn. Donald Pleasance.
I was there opening day for Revenge of the Ninja.
No.
I was.
River of Death. Nobody remembers what that is. Now, the big one is... okay, Enter the Ninja's cool because that's Franco Nero. And who doesn't love their Franco Nero? Because, he's... Franco Nero is Django. Come on, man. He's the best. This one I like, I have to say, because it has... Franco Nero. So, Enter the Ninja, that was from 1981, set in Japan. And there you go. Nero plays this Westerner who's kind of inducted into this secret society, the way they fight. They're, learning the rules of the ninja. And he's got to take those ninja skills and beat up some people. That's what he does.
Sweet.
Exactly.
So sweet.
There you go. Enter the Ninja.
All right, and we have a ton from Olive this week. Actually, 3 interesting Blu-rays, and then I'm going to talk just for a moment about this interesting new license that they have over at Olive, because I don't normally put Olive together with Uwe Boll, but hey, you know what? Apparently they did. So Olive has 3 really, really cool releases this week. One I'm not quite so fond of. This is, it's worth noting, just for people who are into this, Ski School from 1991, kind of one of the last sort of stupid 80s comedies that has found its way over. It's not quite Hot Dog the movie from the 70s, but it's close. Look at the artwork. Women. Why is this like such a thing? Women who ski in bikinis.
Yeah.
There's your artwork. Anyway, this has kind of a bit of a following. It's sort of a cult film just because it is one of those dumb comedies. So if you're one of those people that cares about Ski School, it is out. But the other 2 are pretty fantastic. These are legendary comedies that I am really a fan of, and I'm glad that they're finally out on Blu-ray, that somebody went and dug into somebody's library and got them out. The Hemdale production of Yellowbeard, which I have always found to be really, really incredibly funny. It is not a Monty Python film, but it features a lot of Monty Python people. John Cleese is in it, Eric Idle is in it, Graham Chapman is in it. But here's who else is in it. Marty Feldman, Peter Cook, Cheech and Chong, Peter Boyle, Madeline Kahn, James Mason. Come on, give it up. This is funny stuff. And it features a great score by John Morris, who, of course, did all the Mel Brooks stuff. It's funny. It is really, really funny. It is a silly, silly, funny, pirate movie with Graham Chapman as a pirate who was sentenced for put away for tax evasion. I mean, come on. Does it get any more Monty Python than that? And then also from the peripheral Monty Python frame is Eric the Viking, E-R-I-K, as in the Nordic spelling of Eric the Viking. I saw this at a comedy film festival along with the tall guy that was in Las Vegas in association with a very short-lived film market called Cinetex. I was there on a student committee at the time, and I remember thinking this thing is just so funny, especially Tim Robbins in a small part as one of the Vikings. So incredibly funny. John Cleese is along for the ride here as well. But this is really Terry Jones's ball. Terry Jones wrote and directed this thing. It kind of killed his directing career, to be honest, for the longest time. But it does the same thing for Vikings that Yellowbeard does for pirates. It as they would say in England, it takes the piss out of them. And when the berserker gets going, oh yeah, it's good time comedy. This doesn't really have any extras, but it's definitely worth picking up. Eric the Viking and Yellowbeard, both of them so freaking funny. I can't stand it. And then we also have an interesting new license for Olive, which is this Martini Entertainment. Essentially, these are mostly Uwe Boll produced films from Germany. And they're all kind of crappy, and I didn't really bother looking at much of any of them, but some are more interesting than others. So I'll go through these really quickly, just so you know this, because a lot of these are, almost all of them are Uwe Boll Presents. So don't necessarily blame him if they're bad, and don't give him credit if they're any good. Just know that Uwe Boll obviously has enough currency to be able to get some films made and released. The first one is Zombies from Outer Space. Totally self-explanatory. Not exactly what I would consider your typical German film. The next one is Heart of America from 2002, which is actually directed by Uwe Boll, and not terrible, I hate to say. This actually takes place in an American high school, and it's a kind of a blackboard jungle type thing. The movie Auschwitz, also written, produced, and directed by Uwe Boll. Pretty terrible. I can't exactly say that this is the Holocaust film that anybody should see. But if you're curious about Uwe Boll's take on a Holocaust film, there it is. This is one that Uwe did not have anything to do with. Someone else directed this, Peter Platzik. It's called Drawn in Blood. Appears to be more competent than any Uwe Boll film, but still in the exploitation realm. Then Planet USA, really a really silly Austrian age of terrorism. I assume they mean for it to be a joke, but it's not funny. It's really kind of a dumb war on terrorism satire, and it involves the idea of a pipeline from the Earth to the Moon that is so absurd it's not even funny. Beyond Remedy is directed by Gerhard Hross, also and produced by Uwe Boll, and this is a middling thriller. I watched a fraction of it, could certainly tell it wasn't as thrilling as you might hope. And then lastly is a movie called Emancipation, emphasis on man, which is about a group of men who go into a shelter for abused men. Doesn't really feel like a subject that should be treated in the movies, doesn't feel like a subject that is really all that serious or valid. But then again, there is some crackpot group of men who feel like the new Mad Max film is too feminist for them. So, who knows?
Who knows what evil lurks in the hearts of men? The shadow knows. Yes. All right, finally, as we wrap out, right, Wade?
Yep.
Thank you.
A couple of foreign films when we're done here, but yeah.
Date.
I know.
Thank you.
Good for you.
Fourth date.
Good for you. Really? All right.
See what's going on there. I'm not sure yet. Anyway, Cut Bank is a film, a Fargo-light kind of film with a terrific cast and just really cliche, predictable material. Liam Hemsworth, who's one of the Hemsworth sisters, whoever he is, he just is not. He's too pretty. He just cannot really be that gritty.
Did you see the trailer for this?
Guy. Yeah,
it's a great trailer. Like, I saw the trailer for this and I was like, that is going to be a fun film. And then the movie is all kind of disjointed, and it's like it wants to be a Coen Brothers movie, but it can't ever sort of get up and running. The gears gears aren't oiled. It just doesn't. Nothing's interesting.
No, because you know what? Because the Coens also write their own material.
Yeah.
And their stuff is just obviously not only just visually is it great, but the plots are twisty and surprising, and this is just really pedestrian, typical stuff.
I really do like Malkovich in this, but Billy Bob Thornton. They kind of hold it down, but otherwise it's unfortunate. Anyway,
we also have a Horse Camp. Now, Horse Camp, Wade.
Yes.
Here's what this is about. It's about a camp, right? And at this camp, it's horses.
Really?
At
they
the
do
camp.
that?
Yes.
That exists.
Now, this is it says right here on the box, it's family approved, which means it's a piece of crap. Because I don't want anything. In fact, here's what I want to do. I want to take copies of Horse Camp, which is family approved, and sneak in copies of Mad Max Fury Road.
That would be great.
And see how long.
I would love that.
See how long it is before the parents start to freak out.
Horse
Horse Camp co-stars Dean Cain, and it's about these kids who spend summer at a camp for girls, and there's horses, and girls love horses. Oh my god!
It's like My Little Pony or whatever.
It's horrible.
Got a couple of Tom Sizemore movies here. Tom Sizemore,
that's quality too.
He's becoming the Bee King. It's just insane. In one, he's with Vivica Fox and Bai Ling, two other people whose careers have just completely collapsed. It's called Assassin's Game. And in the other one, he's paired with Bernard Curry and Oz Zahavi in a movie called Bordering on Bad Behavior. And in both of these, it's just tough guys and gun stuff. And it's sad because Tom Sizemore, he's gone so far off the deep end. He's had so many bad brushes with women and the law and everything else.
He'll be in 10 years. He'll be like Gary Busey.
Yeah, it's just I don't know why he can't sort of get a good part, get his life on track, and stop making the straight to video stuff. The second one of these is a whole Middle Eastern thing bordering on bad behavior. It's a whole Israeli Secret Service and Lebanese Secret Service thing, and guys with guns in the Middle East. And Assassin's Game is just about a bunch of assassins who screw up at their latest assignment, and everything that transpires in the wake of that. Nothing great here, but they obviously, if Tom Sizemore is your guy, you're not going to care.
Wade, the one film we do have to recommend in this bunch, which otherwise is not very good, is God Help the Girl, which is kind of a charming little movie. It's reminiscent of, although not as good as, the Carney films, Once and Can a Song Save Your Life? It's a little like that, not as good as that, but God Help the Girl. It's about this girl, Emily Browning. She's a songwriter, and she's staying in a mental health facility, and then she winds up running away to Glasgow, where she meets this guy who's a singer-songwriter, and they have love together. I like this movie. I thought Wade would like this movie a lot too. I did like it. I thought it's it's charming and it's sweet, and maybe it's a little twee, but still it's kind of adorable, and the two have good chemistry together, and the songs aren't as good as the songs in the Carney films, but still, God Help the Girl is kind of nice. If you notice, Wade, on the front, it says it's from
a producer of Rushmore and the Royal Tenenbaums. So it's like somehow
they found a cast or crew member who is somehow connected to those other films and put it on the box.
Wow. Okay, fine. And then we have a couple of foreign films just to tie this out. One is Diplomacy by Volker Schlondorf, which is based on it's the same event that was centered in the film Is Paris Burning, the big all-star film from way back when, which is all about what happened in Paris as the Nazis were retreating and the Allies were advancing, and Hitler gave the order to burn the whole city down and blow up everything, and they had prepared to basically destroy the city of Paris so that the world would lose everything. And the commander of German forces at the time was persuaded by a Swedish diplomat not to do it. Is Paris Burning is obviously much more based on the novel. It's a much bigger scale thing. Diplomacy is a two-hander about that conversation. It's just basically that conversation with Niels Arestrup as the German and André Dussolier as the Swede, and that one-night conversation that perhaps it's all speculative, could have changed forever the cultural history of France and the rest of the world. It's a good film. This is from Zeitgeist. I wish it were on Blu-ray, even though it's a very small film, because it really is very moodily shot, very dark. It would benefit from higher resolution. And then lastly, the cult film Stay As You Are with Marcello Mastroianni and Nastasia Kinski. If not for those two and the Ennio Morricone score, this would be like softcore. But yet, this is right before she made Tess with Roman Polanski. Cult Epics, who normally releases a lot of really culty Italian stuff, released this, and it's a good Blu-ray. I'm surprised. It's not like the most pristine thing, but considering the quality that this print was probably in, this is about as good as this is ever going to get. But again, if you're watching this, you probably just want to be titillated by Nastasia Kinski. There's not a lot of story here. So Nastasia Kinski and Marcello Mastroianni in Stay As You Are, Così Come Sei, or Come Sei, if I'm not mutilating the Italian, with a great score by Ennio Morricone. Much better film than it really has any business being. And there it is. That's from 1978, just on the verge of legitimacy and Tess. And with that, we are done. We will see you next week.
Boing!